Remember where you were. There is winning. There is winning in style. There is winning with guts. All that tonight. The Patriots have another Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady have done it again. It's their fifth as a duo. That passes Chuck Noll and Terry Bradshaw of the great Steelers teams of the 1970s as the most by a coach and quarterback combo. You want to talk about comebacks? Oh, we'll talk comebacks. The largest before tonight was 10, done 3 times. The Patriots come back from down 25 in the third quarter to make it by far the largest comeback in Super Bowl history, and actually the third largest in all of playoff history. And wow, are we honored to be sitting here right now. It's Max and the coach, the A-team.
That's a night.
Jeff Saturday. It's hard to even put it into words what we just saw, what you all just saw. Thanks for coming over and hanging out with us here on SportsCenter. Jeff, I'll let you have the first word. Yes, it's a great comeback. Yes, Tom Brady is now the first quarterback ever with 5. But how they were able to do it, 19 points in the fourth quarter and then scoring in overtime, what do you have to say?
It's incredible. I mean, just the sheer will to win by this football team was incredible. And like you said, 19 down, the Falcons are driving in, have a chance really to seal it. Instead, sack, then penalty. Now they got to punt it, still come back, drive it all those yards. Got to get 2 two-point conversions to tie. I mean, everything against them. Everything was against them, and they never quit, man. And you didn't see anybody back down. Nobody laid down. Those guys fought to the very end. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, we were sitting here. I'm speechless. It's hard to even put into words how hard this really is to do. I mean, for everybody on that roster, all 53 guys, to keep giving it their all. Even the last play, I mean, when Lewis, blows his leg out. I mean, they're going for it even then on the final. I mean, these guys, they put it all out there. Take your hat off to them. Absolutely incredible football victory. Well-deserved Super Bowl champions. I mean, Tom Brady and what he did. I mean, my gosh, man. It was insane. It's insane.
I will say, and we'll talk about the Falcons because they left a lot on the table. This was a team effort for the Patriots, but we're going to talk about Tom Brady because he was missing passes. He was getting hit. And then he does this, 466 passing yards, a Super Bowl record. When they got to overtime, Jeff, they flipped the coin. The Patriots won. You said this game is over.
It's over.
They were going downhill, and we look at Tom Brady in the medal. That if he doesn't win this game, he still has 4 Super Bowls. He's 4-3. That's pretty close to 500. Then you have this performance to make it that 5th Super Bowl. What does it say about the player?
Oh, my gosh, man. I mean, just think about what it took for him to keep every guy in this. Like you said, he's at 4-2, could be at 4-3, could be at 5-2. All the legacy questions that people are going to ask and say, all the pressure that's on him, and he wasn't playing good. That's the bottom line. Is early in the game he's missing passes he shouldn't. Then when he's dropping dimes, his best guys are dropping it. You never see him fighting. You never see him battling. These guys go right back to the sideline, slapping each other on the back of the head. Man, pick it up. We got you. Blunt fumbles one. Doesn't matter. Kicker kicks one. Bounces on. Nobody cares, man. Keep battling, keep grinding. They keep doing it. Tom Brady, he's the ultimate leader when you watch what he does on the sideline. He willed his team to victory. It was just absolutely incredible.
2 images that I'm going to remember for a very, very long time. After the pick 6 in the first half, it was 21-0. They cut to Brady on the bench, head down, but not dejected. It was almost like, all right, here we go. We've got a big mountain to climb. And then at the end of the game, he made it very clear that his mother's been very sick. It's been an emotional season. She hasn't made it to any games. He said, I'm playing this game for my mother. And then at the end of the game, he's so emotional he can't even stand up after everything they've been through. I cannot imagine what's going through his head right now. And then to wrap your head around the fact that I'm the only player in the history of the NFL to have 5 Super Bowl titles. Where do you put it? Is it clear now that he's the best of all time?
Yeah, man. I mean, when you talk about what he's doing and what he did and what you're talking about, you don't play football in a vacuum, right? He's got things going on in his family. Everybody does. All players on this football team, but what he's going through and the moment you just captured, I wrote it down on my notes, when he bent down and he pushed everybody away. This is my time. Give me my time. You see him. He couldn't stand up. And then here comes Blunt. Here comes Belichick to pick him up. The embrace. It just showed he left it all out there. I mean, he left everything he possibly could out on that football field. And, for a guy who I played 14 years, I get chills watching it because I've been on both sides. I've lost some tough ones, lost a Super Bowl, won one. Just the feeling that he had to have at bringing that team back. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I can assure you, number 5 for him is going to be the greatest one for him because of the circumstances. When everybody counts you out, no one thinks you even have a chance, and he still did it. That was the one. That's going to be the special one. You know what I mean?
This will be washed away pretty soon. We'll talk about Brady and his 5 Super Bowls, but it takes 2 to tango, and 31 unanswered points from the Patriots. Brady was sensational down the stretch. How much of this falls on the shoulders of the Atlanta Falcons and their lack of execution in the business end of this game, where they had more than a couple chances to put this out of reach?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, the defense was on the field all night long, so you can't blame them. When they won the
over 100 plays.
Yeah, when they won the coin toss and I was like, it's over, they're just gassed. I mean, we talked about it. They can't get pressure. It's hard to make the open field tackles. When they were fresher in the game, they were making those plays. It's just a slow bleed, and it's a tough thing. Two series in a row. When they have the ball and they're driving, it's 3rd and 1, and they try to throw a pass, sack, fumble, right? And that gives the Patriots a short field and gives them an opportunity, gives them life in the game, right? Run it or punt it. Either way, if you run it, you get the first down. If you punt it, if you don't get it, you punt it. At least you're eating up clock. So you're frustrated with that, but at least you still got the lead. You're still feeling comfortable. But when you drive down and you're inside a field goal, it's an easy chip shot for Matt Bryant, and you take a sack at that point. I know the pressure came quickly up the middle, but you got to get rid of the ball. You got to throw it away. You just have to know the situation. And the one thing about the Patriots, they preach situational football all the time. I know Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan do. It's just a mental lapse at that moment to hold that ball and to pull it down instead of trying to throw it away. Then they give a penalty up the next play with a holding. Game's completely changed. So the execution, and it goes back to the defense, who, again, is just flat worn out. They've given everything they've had.
Real quick, where do you live again?
In the ATL. Listen, I'm a homer. I wanted it. I'm not.
I just know when you're going back there, it's going to be a rough scene.
And it also came after what you called one of the greatest catches by Julio Jones in the history of the Super Bowl, in history of the NFL.
Oh my gosh!
And that was, we said, that's the play that's going to get him over the top with the field goal. When you talk about all-time Super Bowls, and now New England is right up there. And when you compare them guys to other franchises, now they have 5. That ties them with the Cowboys and the 49ers. The Steelers still have 6, which is 1 more. But I believe that when we look back at all the Super Bowls, and by the way, this is the first ever overtime game in a Super Bowl in 51 games, which I found incredible that we hadn't had one before now. I know the Steelers have 6, but the way the Patriots were able to win this, and because of the history that it made with the coach and the quarterback duo, I think this almost feels like it counts for 2.
Listen, it is a, and I'm not taking away from the Steelers. The Steelers, fantastic franchise. They run it right. They are a great franchise. I have a ton of respect for. But the way Belichick has formed these teams in the era of free agency is completely different. You don't get to keep the same guys. Belichick, he's lost coordinators on both sides of the ball. They've come back, lose players. I mean, he just continues to reload, does it through the draft, does it through free agency, you name it. I mean, the guy just, whatever he has to do to put the best football team on the field, he continues to do it. So to your point of 6 and 5, it would be hard. It's hard to say that he hasn't been the absolute best Bill Belichick of all time. The way that he has done it and built these teams and continued to find players that buy in to his system, which is do your job and make plays and we'll win football games. That trust is what he infuses in his football team, and it's proven.
Tom Brady, we can tell you, has been named the Super Bowl MVP. And you
not a shock.
Not a shock. You mentioned that catch by Julio Jones. Classic one-upmanship by the Patriots at the other end to have an even better catch that really secured them to get this game into overtime. And you look back at the plays of this game, and this was somewhere in the 40s. It was Julian Edelman who made the catch. This was like somewhere in the 40s of all-time Super Bowls. And then, little by little,
oh, yeah,
it's in the top 3, top 2,
absolutely,
right up there.
I mean, how can, I mean, honestly, and I'm obviously emotional because I love just what I watch. But how do you say this isn't the best of all time? Overtime, the greatest comeback of all time, all of those things. I mean, how many people turn the channel I mean, you know,
went to bed.
People turn the channel and are making that is a regretful decision to do that right there.
You didn't turn the channel.
No, I didn't turn the channel. No. Let's look at some more Pat's Super Bowl history because there's so many numbers, and as Max likes to say all the time, there's a lot of meat on this.
There's a lot of meat on this game.
Yeah.
So Super Bowl history. What are we looking at right here? Somebody. You know, this is.
What
they beat the Seahawks. They lose to the Giants. This is the games that they have had won and lost. And when you look at Tom Brady since 2000,
you're right.
And,
they started winning.
And you know, go ahead and comment on
look
the
at
wins
the top,
and losses.
Look at the top four.
Okay.
Okay. The 2 wins and the 2 losses. 4 of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. I mean, the Seahawks the last play, Falcons overtime, Giants 2 insane catches to get. I mean, 4 of the greatest Super Bowls of all time.
We should be thankful.
I do have to point out one thing, because if there was ever a scenario, guys, that he would forget about the whole Roger Goodell drama, this would be the way.
That's a great point.
Right?
Great point.
He just shook the hand of Roger Goodell on the broadcast, and so this was, to me, this is the only way that he doesn't.
And you know what?
Take the high road.
Yeah, he is a class act.
Of course.
I mean, here's the thing. People ask about it. There's no way he was going to use this. Like you said, it's what his mom's going through, what he stands for as a man. I mean, listen, he's said everything he needed to say. He's proved it on the field tonight. You know, that's all he had to do, man. I mean, what else you want him to do?
Where does he go from here? I mean, he's 40 years old. You cannot.
I'm on a horse, brother. I'm on a horse riding it out.
Right, like Peyton Manning it out. You cannot top this. You can try and say, I'll get to the Super Bowl with another one. It cannot fall under better circumstances than this. He's not going to go out, but this may be a good spot.
Yeah, he is not going to go out. I mean, he will try to ride this into a repeat. And here's the thing. With Belichick, with the system they're in, with the players they have, they just continue to reload. Think about how good this defense was. I mean, they got exposed early in this football game. This is a top 5 defense, fellas. Top 5. You come back with a top 5 defense. What are you worried about? You know you're going to be in every football game. We all know defenses win championships. What's your fear? He doesn't look like he's falling off at all. He's still, 60-some-odd passes, 466 yards. I mean, listen, why leave now?
Let's talk.
Party's still good.
Party's not over.
Hey. Let's talk coaches for a second, because I want to tie something together here. But first, Bill Belichick now has won 5 Super Bowl, guys, passing Chuck Noll for the most all-time by a head coach. But he might not be done moving up the list. Belichick is still 1 title shy of George Halas, Kurt Lambeau, who both won 6 titles dating back to the pre-Super Bowl days of the NFL. Think on the other side for a second, Dan Quinn. So when Seattle played New England a couple years ago, he was the defensive coordinator for Seattle. They're 1 yard away from victory, and they throw an interception. And then tonight, he's a head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. You've got a 25-point lead, and you blow it to the same team that you lost to 2 years ago. This one's going to sting Dan Quinn right at the top. It's going to trickle down, but it's going to sting him for a long time.
This is one. These players, in all honesty, may never watch this game ever.
Wow.
I mean, they may never turn it on. I know the one. I'm not going to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I don't even like thinking about it. You know, when Brunell and I were working together, I didn't want to hear him. He didn't even get in the game. I didn't want to hear from him. Right? I mean, like, every time I hear the Saints, it makes me sick. And we only had a 10-point lead. So from what these guys are going through, they'll never watch this tape. I mean, there's nothing more disgusting for these guys. The feeling that you get, it just gnaws at your gut. The one thing I would say about Dan Quinn, man, this guy's an ultimate leader, and he gets everybody to buy in. He is a fantastic, and these are young guys. I mean, he's got a young football team, ton of first and second players on that defense. You know what Matt Ryan's doing. He's loaded up on weapons on the offensive side of the football. This team will be back, and that's the one thing he's got to emphasize. Don't let one game tank us, right? We got here. We had a shot. Did we not execute and finish it? Absolutely, but we will learn from this and move on, because they are a team that's right there and should stay there. I mean, very few Super Bowl teams can walk away and go, we're still in great shape. But with the age of their players and where they are in free agency, these guys, they're the same way. They're loaded up to come back and make another shot at this thing.
I was saying that during the game ago. At that point, I said the Falcons are going to win this game, and this could be a dynasty-type team because they have all these weapons. They're young. The defense is going to get better and younger. And I would like to think they're going to be back. But as you said, they may not watch this tape. How do you wash away this taste to get ready? The offseason's long, but how do you get this to make sure it doesn't affect your preparations to get back to this game? Because we know it's tough to get to Super Bowl.
I think he'll go in the locker room and give them three points of what happened. Here's what we should have done. Here's what we didn't get done. Here's why it ended the way it did. And then they'll move on, and he'll put it to bed. And he won't ever, hey, listen, we can't do anything about it. When it's over, it's over, right? You can't do anything about it. You can't go back. You can't relive it. You can't fix it. What you can do is improve on those moments and in situations, and that's where he'll drive home and use it as a teaching moment. Situational football. Man, we should have done it this way. We should have done it this way when it mattered most. That's what we have to get to. That's what we have to understand as a football team. When we get our moment, we got to make the most of it. We didn't on Super Bowl night, but we have an opportunity to get back here and do it again.
If you guys are just joining us out there, thanks so much for hanging out with us here on SportsCenter. We're just kind of hanging out until NFL Primetime Live right after us as soon as they get situated down there in Houston. Max, Coach, Jeff Saturday. If you missed it or you turned it off, largest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl. Now, when you talk about postseason as a whole, here are two that are bigger. Ouch, I'm a Chiefs fan.
You remember these games, though. You remember them like they're history.
You remember that Bills and Oilers, we've seen that 1,000 times. What was it, 35-3 at one point? Yeah, so 32-point deficit. And now the Patriots and Falcons. I think you can put this one right at the top because it clearly happened in the Super Bowl. But for people who are just tuning in now here on SportsCenter, and this is going to be an all-night affair for us. I can only imagine how good the party's going to be.
We live in New England.
Robert Kraft was just talking right now. And with everything that this – I know you said that he's a class act and that he's not going to use this and the whole suspension and all that. But there is still some underlying feelings. We know Robert Kraft was very vocal. Bill Belichick, not so much. Tom Brady – even in the pregame tonight, he said, no, that shouldn't have happened to me. How satisfying is this victory for this franchise?
Completely. I mean, you think about the last one, it's shrouded in all types of controversy, right? It's against the Colts, and you're getting asked about it leading up to the Super Bowl. You win this, but everybody's doubting now. Everybody's saying things. You go through a whole year, then you get suspended. You miss 4 games this year, come back and have, arguably an MVP type season. I mean, he's right behind what Matt Ryan did and Aaron Rodgers. You're right in the mix. This is the way to satisfy that problem. If there's a way to answer the call, this is it. There's not going to be any controversy. There's not going to be any issue. I was down. I came back. We won. There's no air issue. There's no scandal, surrounding this thing. This is a clean win and the largest comeback in NFL history in a Super Bowl.
And
man, what are you going to say?
Guys, there was no Gronk.
Drop it.
There was no Gronk.
No Gronk.
There was no Gronk.
And if you look at social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the jokes were rolling fast and furious. If they want to get some satisfaction, they could look at that. This is a win for the Patriots. It's a win for Bill Belichick.
I like class acts.
We both picked the Falcons.
I like class acts, but come on.
And it's Tom Brady's day because he becomes the most successful quarterback wins-wise in Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
He looked every part of 40 years old in the first half. Passes were going errant. And safe to say in that fourth quarter, in the overtime, Jeff, he was throwing his best balls of the game. They were sharp, and he was gutting a Falcons defense, but he was hitting those spots.
I don't care how old you are. They were hitting him hard. I mean, you get hit like that. A lot of young quarterbacks don't want to get mixed up in that. I mean, it's a hard game when you get smacked around the way he was. I mean, and even they played great coverage behind it early. Some of the hits and sacks early in the game were really coverage sacks. It wasn't even a line issue, but you're still taking shots, and that thing wears on you. And then when you do come back early in the second half, again, Edelman drops one. I mean, right in the hands. Hogan drops. I mean, they're perfect balls. So everybody had errors. That's the thing that's amazing. It wasn't a one or two. Everybody on this football team had errors, but nobody turned on each other. Nobody was griping at each other. You didn't see any fights, meltdowns on the sideline. These guys walked over, like you said. They may have been frustrated, put their head down, bought some time, but when they came back to action, man, they were about business at hand. It was absolutely an amazing game, and I'm dumbfounded. I mean, you can't script it any better than that if you're a New England Patriots fan.